Welcome back to the Upper Tier, folks, the football podcast we bring you each and every day out there on YouTube. Head over there, smash that subscribe and bell notification button. Audio versions of the show, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Amazon Music. Joining me today for our Premier League preview, the Dazzler, match week 33, my friend.
Running out of time for this, brother, aren't we?
We're running out of time both for the top four race and the title race. We need to get a shift on at this stage.
And then it's the excitement of the transfer window.
Transfer window will be back and live with you. I think we're going to do it bi-weekly, isn't it? We said we're going to do 2 a week, were we? The beginning and the end.
Absolutely. Yeah, course, Tuesday and Friday.
And if there's any big transfers, of course, we'll jump on anyway at that time. Just to let you know, today I just dropped a little video there on Eric Ten Hag, who's been confirmed as the appointment. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, delighted, man. I suppose I kind of pinned me flag to the mast quite a while ago, and I said that's who I wanted. I just think he's outside of, the top couple of managers in the world. He's next on that list of prospective coaches that you could look at taking you to the next level. And I think we obviously missed out on the likes of Klopp and Guardiola and stuff like that previously, and I just don't think you can miss out on these guys, because as soon as you do, they get to a club, they start building something, and it's too difficult to get them out. So I'm delighted we've got him in, and be great to see him given a chance and given a bit of time to try and get a bit of evolution at Manchester United, because this is going to take a while, and I think fans need to understand that as well, as much as anyone. We should see a difference in the style of play. We should see a difference in the in the heart and the fight from the team and stuff like that. We'll also see a difference in the playing staff, I'd imagine, as well. But things aren't going to just click overnight. Liverpool and Manchester City have been putting their teams together for a number of years, and they've been competing on the world level. And we're miles off City and Liverpool, unfortunately. But given time, we'll have to see, can he close the gap,
Yeah, I kind of said on the show somewhere between 4 to 6 transfer windows. So anywhere between 2 to 3 years, you need to give them that time to really, because it's a massive job really to take on, isn't it? Between the playing staff, and Ralph obviously alluded to the fact that the sports science side of things needs to be looked at, the diets, the medical, Old Trafford obviously needs work done on it. Like, there's so much stuff in the club needs work done on it. And if he's the man, he needs to be focal to all that, doesn't he?
Yeah, and something that I was delighted with as well, was when the announcement came out, even the wording of it. He's the manager. He's not the coach.
Yeah.
I even think that's important. I think when you call somebody a coach, you maybe say, this is your job, there's your limitations. When you call someone a manager, you say, we're opening the book up here, and you're gonna try and engulf everything here. I think that's what we need, I think from top to bottom, the club needs to be looked at, and you can't do that with a coach who basically is going to coach the team day to day. I think he'll bring in his own coaches and he'll ask them to do a job similar to what they've done at Ajax, and I know he's obviously looking at his assistant from Ajax, and there's word going around that he's looking at Robin van Persie possibly as well as another member of the team, somebody who knows Old Trafford and stuff like that. So listen, there's lots of possibilities. I think today was a great day for us to get it done early-ish. This has dragged on for a few weeks, but we were waiting on something to be announced, and everything's now been announced, which is great. It lifts a bit of pressure, I would imagine, as well, for a lot of people, thinking, right, that's job one done. Job two now. Here's the door. Who's going out with? Let's start getting guys out that door.
Yeah,
as quickly as possible.
I suppose maybe they were looking at the point that there's been a lot of criticism obviously since the Liverpool game, because it was so poor. It was as low as it gets, really. And I think that they needed that bit of positivity. But I think that bit of positivity now, I wonder, would it spur the players on maybe to give it that real proper drive towards a top 4 spot, maybe, you know what I mean? And try and lift the club somewhat,
Yeah, possibly, and if they're using that to galvanise them, it may very well work. Like, we've 2 massive games in the next couple of weeks. We've got Arsenal and we've got Chelsea coming up. If we can somehow get 2 victories there, it puts us in with an opportunity And that's all it is, because, we are very dependent on what other teams do at the minute.
Yeah.
But if we could beat Chelsea and Arsenal, now listen, looking at us the other night, it's hard to even fathom how we would beat both of those sides. But we both know stranger things have happened this season in the league. I would have never.
When your back's against the wall,
I would never have thought Arsenal were going to go out and beat Chelsea 4-2 last night away from home.
No.
You could have had, you could have had any money on that. I wasn't taking it. Even Spurs coming to Old Trafford a few weeks ago, Ronaldo pops up with the hat-trick. We shouldn't have won that game. We did somehow. And you spoke about it earlier on the season. We were moments FC. And is there enough moments left in this team to just clamber over the line for fourth? I think it's a massive stretch, but it's not impossible.
Well, there needs to be 6, doesn't there? It's very simple. There's 6 to go, and that's what needs to happen, basically. If
you took all 18 points and didn't get it, you'd have nothing to crib about. But at least go and take the points and give yourself an opportunity at it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, the way things have gone in this top 4 race, I'd be very surprised if you needed 18. If any of the teams needed 18, because no one seems to want it. You know what I mean? By the looks of what's been happening, But let's get into this. This is our Premier League preview. It is match week 33. So as you said, we are getting down to the very business end of things, and that announcement obviously will be huge. But we start out on Saturday. Arsenal versus Man United at the Emirates. Massive. This could be a top 4 eliminator.
I think you've hit the nail on the head there. I think this is a top 4 eliminator. Absolutely. Well, sorry, when I say eliminator,
Man United.
If Arsenal rock up and beat us on Saturday, we're gone. It's over. It's done and dusted. I looked at the league table last night for a minute, and we're obviously in 6th place.
Yeah.
It's only the first 6 spots that get European football next season. If we lose to Arsenal and, the Champions League is out of the equation, we may as well not finish 5th or 6th. 7th is a better spot for us and miss out on, Europa or Conference. For me.
Of course, I suppose it depends as well how Leicester and West Ham fare out, doesn't
it? Well, I think if Leicester were to win it, it wouldn't affect the places because they're below us in the league. West Ham, however, if they won it, it might affect us. Yeah. If we finish 7th, we might get that spot. We'll see. I was fully sure that we were going to go out and absolutely blitz Arsenal on Saturday. I thought it's made for us. I think, you're hoping Ronaldo might be back at it. And I was thinking, I really felt like we could have the measure of Arsenal. Then I look at Arsenal last night and I think they're a way better side than we are. It's going to be tough. I think for us to go there and get a victory is really, really tough.
Well, they'll be so boiled by last night as well. I mean, that was a massive result. You could see it with them. It was like a cup final. You know what I mean?
Huge.
Massive.
Huge. This is, like a cup final for them. This Saturday's the biggest game United have had all season.
I suppose looking at the performance last night, should we look into the fact of how much tinkering Tuchel did as well? I mean, you'd as you mentioned to me on WhatsApp and the group as well, Lukaku and Werner up front, and that kind of thing where we know it's not ideal, and then Havertz didn't play, and then you had Malang Sarr at the back, and he made a lot of changes. We know Aspie at this stage, he's been a great pro for them and stuff like that, but has he really ran his course at this stage? You've seen him being a little bit exposed last night.
I mean, he's not. He's gonna leave there in the summer, isn't he?
Yeah, the talk's Barcelona, isn't it?
Talk is Barcelona. It could be any of those Spanish.
And Christensen as well. Christensen looks like he's checked out as well, doesn't he?
Absolutely. And listen, this is something that's happened to United as well. When guys know that they're leaving the building, they're not bothered. They're not pushed. They're not going to put their bodies on the line. I absolutely wholeheartedly believe Paul Pogba saw that goal go in the other night and thought, I've no interest in being attached to this. This is bad for me. I'm out of here. Yeah. And he stepped off.
I think with Chelsea was an interesting one, because I did think about it yesterday before the game, and I thought he would make changes, because obviously in 3 weeks' time we have the cup final against Liverpool. Chelsea has, and I was thinking he is picking up a number of injuries there. There has been a long, mentally fatiguing, tough season for Chelsea as a club, with everything they've dealt with, the ownership, losing their wing backs, the stuff with Lukaku. Kante not being at his absolute brilliant best, Jorginho not featuring as much as they thought, Kovacic with the odd injury and stuff like that. They have lost players, and it's been mentally draining for them. And I just wonder, did he play a weekend side with one eye potentially on the cup in 3 weeks and go, look, we more or less have third wrapped up at this stage. Now, you might turn around to me and go, right, well, if you look at it, there's 5 points in the difference between Tottenham and Chelsea, albeit Chelsea have a game in hand. So some people will turn around and go, well, no, maybe third and fourth is still up for grabs, depending on what way they work this. I think Chelsea would have enough to cement third anyway if they had to switch the afterburners on again. But I just wonder, is he making changes? Is he trying to protect the squad a little bit with one eye on that final to get a bit of revenge for the Carabao Cup?
I certainly don't think, as bad as they might be, they could drop out of the top 4. They might lose third, but they'd still recover a fourth spot. So I don't think there's an issue there.
Yeah.
I did find it strange he made so many changes. I think the Boysar was very, very poor. He really was. And I thought, Lukaku was pretty anonymous as usual against the top 6 side.
And take nothing away from Arsenal either. I mean, Arsenal were excellent.
No, absolutely not. They were excellent. They were, but at the back, Chelsea were so poor. I think that's one of the worst performances I've seen from a Chelsea backline recently. They were all at sea. You look at how many bites of the cherry they got to clear the ball for one of the Nketiah goals, and you just think, lads, put it in row Z and get rid of it, will you? I wasn't surprised to see Werner. I think Werner's performances have, steadily inclined lately. Playing out on that left-hand side, he's creating an awful lot more, have we seen. He got a goal last night. I backed him in any goal scorer last night. I actually fancied him. So, I think he deserved a spot. I think the Lukaku, I think Christensen, I think Sarr, they were 3 glaringly obvious issues in there last night for Chelsea. The 2 boys, and Azpilicueta as well, I suppose, because obviously, Lukaku looks like he doesn't want to be there. Sarr looks like he wants to be there, but maybe he's not up to the calibre of Chelsea. And then the other 2 boys, again, have checked out because they're on the way out of the building. So there's not a whole lot to...
Yeah, because I was thinking back to last season as well. If you remember last season, they were so focused on the Champions League that they were drifting out of the top 4. Like, they were miles ahead at one stage, and then they drifted out. And then it took a real performance on the last day of the season to get into that top 4 spot. If you remember, I think they were playing Leicester. And I think Leicester took the lead in that game, and they had to come back into it, if you remember, as far as I know. And I'm just thinking it could mimic that again this season, where he has one eye on the final, the FA Cup, because he wants a bit of silverware. And they could drop the ball and protect the squad all in the build up to that. But they'd have to be so careful. And
listen, that silverware is huge. You're only getting 3 or 4 opportunities a year to lift the trophy. Yeah. So if Thomas Tuchel could come in there, and lift the FA Cup, that keeps the role, that keeps the momentum of winning going. They've gone from being European champions. Okay, they're not going to be European champions this year.
Yeah.
They may end up FA Cup holders. Next year they go out, they pick up something else. It's a culture in your club. It's a winning mentality. It's something, United have done for years, and Liverpool did before that. Yeah. It's making sure you go through a season without missing out on a trophy completely. And people will say, it's only a Carabao Cup. It's a trophy. It's about opening up that cabinet and putting something in there and saying, this is the level, this is what we expect, and this is how we achieve it. And if you can achieve it in the smaller competitions, that'll help you get to the next level, and you can achieve it there, that'll help you get to those Premier Leagues and those Champions Leagues.
As I say to people, there's only 4 every season. Apart from the Super Cup and the World Club Cup and stuff like that, but there's only 4 every season in reality.
Absolutely, but 100%.
I would be just concerned, if that is the focus and it's let a little bit slip and stuff like that. I don't know whether I'd be, the FA Cup, it's great winning it and stuff like that and all, but at the risk of coming 5th.
They're far enough ahead that they won't need to worry about it.
I would think so. I would think so. You know what I mean? But I just thought it was such an unusual lineup last night. It was just
because you'll always have a couple of gimmies in there. Like Arsenal aren't a gimme. You'll have a Watford or something. You'll go, we can send the under 21s out and get a win here. We're grand. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I think they're happy enough with what they can pick up between now and the end of the season to make sure they're at that third spot.
Absolutely. So Arsenal United.
I'm going to go 1-1. I think it'll be tough. I hope we can see some players come back for United. There's certain players I absolutely don't want to see back. I hope to God that's the last time we've seen Paul Pogba in a Man United jersey. I don't think he deserves to wear the jersey. I'd love to see Varane back. I'd love to see Luke Shaw back. See Dalot go back to that right hand side, go back into a 4. Hopefully Scott was on the bench tonight. We can get Scott back in there. United fans over the last couple of years have spoken about how, we won't win anything with Scott McTominay and with Fred. Well, I tell you what, give me Scott McTominay and Fred any day over what we had the other day.
You might not win. You might not win anything with them, but you're certainly not going to win anything without them.
100%. And they won't allow the club to go down like that. Because they've too much heart, they've too much passion for the club, they've too much love for the club. The lads are two great lads, and absolutely, are they limited as to what they can do? 100%. But you do need guys who are willing and able to put a shift in, and we don't have the guys like that in midfield, especially when the two lads aren't there.
Yeah, so you're going for a draw.
Down 1-1.
I'm probably agreeing with you there, but probably a higher scoring one, maybe 2-2. But I think it's going to be a fabulous game. I think yours will be buoyant because you'll want to make right what happened during the week, and plus the announcement of the manager. I think Arsenal will be absolutely rocking, and the Emirates will be rocking after that result against Chelsea. So it should make for a great game, and it's a nice early game to kick the weekend off as well. So happy days.
It's a little bit too early. Some of us have to go to work on Saturdays.
Yeah, absolutely. You get on
disappointed.
You get on the phone on one of those good apps. Let's just say, Leicester versus Aston Villa. The master versus the apprentice.
Yeah, absolutely. Villa have fallen off a cliff recently, haven't they? And yeah, they have. I suppose performance-wise, it might not be as bad, but results-wise, that they're definitely not picking up the results. I think Stevie's laid down the law to a couple of the lads by the sounds of things and what's coming out of the camp, and there's a lot of guys maybe at Villa playing for their future in the last couple of games of the season. Which I like the idea of. I think it's important. You say to lads, listen, you 5 or 6 games. If you're with me, show me. If you're not, come the summer, you're heading off to Crystal Palace, or you're heading off to, wherever you're going, but you're out of here. I would. I think Leicester have done well. Obviously, they did a great win in Europe away in PSV. I don't think that's to be underestimated. The win that they got there and getting through to the next round and stuff like that. It's really good for them. Did a good win then. Oh no, they didn't have a good win. They got picked off last night quite late on, didn't they? Our friend Richarlison with a 95th minute equaliser.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Friend of the shows. He's cropped up a lot lately.
One half of the show.
He's cropped up a lot lately. Our boy Richarlison. Got a couple against Burnley as well, didn't he? And his performance has been very good for a really poor Everton side.
He's heard his criticism on this podcast and he's upped his game.
I always liked him now, I have to say. I know you're not a fan of him or the boy Dominic Calvert-Lewin, but I think there's footballers there.
Not so much Dominic Calvert-Lewin, but definitely Richarlison. He wouldn't be on my Christmas card list.
I think he's got so much ability, the kid. I just think he needs to be put into a side where you can tap into it. And I just don't think anybody is going to succeed at Everton at the minute. The way they're playing and, how dogged and resilient that has to be. You're not going to accommodate or get the best of a player like Richarlison in there, although he is pulling his weight and he's putting in the shift and he's scoring and assisting and stuff like that, I think this will be a really tough game for Villa. I think Leicester are playing some better football. With the return of the boy Wesley Fofana.
Is this a case, we spoke on the last one, is this a case where he would ring the changes again? Because obviously I think Europe is back next week for him as well, isn't it? Same as
Europe is back next Thursday evening, that's right, yeah. Possibly, it's tough though, especially if they're Saturday kick-off at 3:00. Would you not send the boys out and keep them ticking? And then, play Thursday night. There's a big gap. I would imagine they'd play the team on Saturday and Thursday, and he'll rest the next game.
It's just, I suppose my fear there would be, obviously they've nothing to play for really in the league, only reputation.
Well,
I
think I think he'd still want to finish in the top 10, wouldn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. But I think if he didn't, I don't think it'd be the end of the world. I think his focus is on that European, that situation.
And so it should be. But I mean,
Yeah.
if you're Brendan Rodgers and you can say, listen, there's a top 10 and we won a European trophy. Another good season at Leicester.
I think I think the expectation would have been a bit more. I think the expectation at the start of the season would have been slightly higher. But my concern with this is he's going in against an Aston Villa side who we know are quite a physical side. And my fear would be if James Maddison gets injured, or if Wesley Fofana gets injured, and I know you could say that about any match, but my concern is they're in the semi-final now. They're right there. You know what I mean? And I'm just thinking, is it worth risking these guys? Because this, you can just see it, isn't it? You can see just, Maddison is running with the ball and someone just upends him and boom. You know what I mean? And then, there's key players in there.
It'll be Tyrone Mings every time that'll upend him. And he won't even mean it. He's just an awkward bloke, God bless him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Or a John McGinn tracking back, or even the boy Ramsey, they're physical lads, like, you know what I mean?
I don't think I think that's overkill, isn't it? I think I completely understand it. You're in the semi-final of the European Cup, first time in however many years or ever, whatever it was. So I do get it. I do absolutely get it. But I think you've got to play your games as well. I think I'd have no problem, especially with a boy like Wesley Fofana, who, has come back from this major injury. He's going to get better and better the more games he plays. Now, if I want him at his absolute peak performance for me as a Leicester manager and fan or player, I'd want him to play on Saturday, so that way, come Thursday night, he is, in fine fettle, shall we say,
Just want to have a look at I didn't look at the Leicester lineup last night. Just want to have a look at Iheanacho was up front, Harvey Barnes, Dewsbury Hall, James Maddison. So he is. I mean, he is more or less. Tielemans was in there.
Tielemans was in there with Nepalese Mendy.
Evans,
he had the boy Evans and Fofana, Schmeichel, Thomas and Castagne.
Yeah. So he had them in there. So I wonder. And I mean, he must have thought he must have thought that was 3 points last night. That was a howler to drop.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so late in the game, 95th minute, you're nearly back on the coach, aren't you?
And we did see last weekend, didn't we see last weekend the change both in formation and in personnel? Hadn't he? Patson Daka in last weekend and stuff like that. So he changed it up again. So he does seem to be changing it. So it'd be interesting to see. I'd be surprised this weekend if he goes in with a strong lineup. I think with that semi-final on the horizon.
My call is going to be he puts a similar side out to what played last night, but they change the game after Europa.
Okay.
I think that's when you'll see the bundle of changes, Yeah.
What are you going for here, Leicester?
Leicester, I expect to see a really good Aston Villa team. I really do. Just because I think there's so many of them playing for futures and, Stevie's so competitive. I expect Villa to be very good. Oh, let's go 1-1.
1-1. Yeah. Okay. Man City versus Watford. 4-1 Watford.
This is City stretching it now, isn't it? To 4 then?
City would then stretch it to 4. This is one of those times where they play ahead of us. We're obviously Sunday in the Merseyside derby,
Yeah, this is City stretching it to 4.
And probably doing the world of good to their goal difference, I'd imagine as well.
I don't know. Like, I think last night, they were good, but it was only late on they kind of put that gloss on it, didn't they?
Yeah, how weird was last night? It never felt like a 4-0 game at all. Like,
No, it didn't. It really didn't. But they did create an awful lot of chances.
Yeah.
And they controlled the tempo of the game so easily.
Yeah.
They did at times toy with Brighton, and I thought, Jesus, this is, but without being, very dangerous.
They kind of knew how to niggle Brighton as well, didn't they, last night? If you looked at them, there was a little bit of shithousery there around the pitch with certain matchups and stuff like that and all.
We've spoken about it. It's game management, isn't it?
Yeah, but it was kind of like it was like, when they found themselves, say, 2 or 3-0 up or stuff like that, there was a little bit of shithousery in it where they were like, they were nearly gloating into guys, and they nearly ended up. There was nearly a bit of a row at the end of it and stuff like that as well. Lads had to be separated and stuff like that. I seen Rodri walking over talking to their centre back player and all, and they were about to have a proper go, and Rodri got pulled away. And I was looking at it and I was thinking, you want to be careful there, Rodri, because I think if that kicks off, you're going to lose. So this guy was well bigger than Rodri.
Lewis Dunk.
Yeah, he was having none of it. Like, but there was something that was going on in the game, and I think at times Brighton lost their head, in game play, and it was very clever by the way City went around it, because it never looked like a 4-0 game. There was no doubt I thought City were going to win. Like, I thought Brighton put up a decent showing, but when it came time to actually pull the trigger, they didn't have what they needed, and they were unlucky as well. I mean, the first 2 goals I think were deflected as well, weren't they? Which was very unlucky. Or the first and the third, I think. I'm not too sure, but it was just a bridge too far. But Man City versus Watford. I mean, to me, this is Man City putting one of the last 2 or 3 nails into the relegation coffin of Watford, and I see this running out 3-0, maybe 4-0, maybe.
I think 3 is solid, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Watford, who knows? They may crop up with something. Maybe Dennis might get a goal or something like that, but I don't see it.
Or
it could be a consolation.
João Pedro or somebody like that, but it's too tough for them. They're chasing it all over the pitch, you know. The quality's just not there.
Yeah, when I look at the fixtures, this is not the one I'm looking at going, this could be the one that helps us out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Norwich versus Newcastle.
I mean, the Eddie Howe show.
Do I even have to ask? We're literally Newcastle fans this season, aren't we? When you think about it.
The Eddie Howe show.
Yeah.
And I think back how long ago I called Eddie Howe, and I said how good a job did this guy do. I'm like, feel like a proud father watching this.
Yeah.
Eddie they're just unbelievable at the minute. Yeah. And he's got them. They're very, very Bournemouth-esque, as in they're all fighting. They're all pulling in a direction, you know. They look like they have a great team spirit. Led by the boy Dan Bourne at the back.
There's a pattern of play.
Do you know what I mean? You can see this. He's got the boys out wide. You've got Wood through the middle. It'll be interesting. I thought the boy Bruno again last night was excellent. It'll be interesting to see come summertime how they go about changing this Newcastle. You know, because obviously there's going to be more additions to that squad. They're going to look for more quality. You know, there's obviously some of the lads were brought in for short term. I don't expect to see much of Chris Wood next season, if I'm honest. I think they'll go out and they'll try and get a goal scorer. You know, I think the boy Bruno looks super. Bruno Guimaraes looks very, very good. I think Dan Bourne looks excellent. You know, I think obviously Matt Targett's on loan. They'll probably look to bring in a left back, and Trippier will come back in. So, I mean, there's 5 or 6 spots going to be taken up next season. But there's going to be 5 or 6 up for grabs as well. And I could see Newcastle going heavy in this transfer market again. And it'll be interesting to see next season how he gets it to gel together.
Yeah, Newcastle is going to be very exciting for us on our transfer shows. Because as you said, there's a plethora of European players out there. And I wonder, is Eddie Howe having a look at them, you know, and thinking...
Has to be.
You know what I mean? That could be very, very interesting.
I'd be shocked, absolutely shocked, if they don't try and do Pau Torres and Arnaud Danjuma. Danjuma was obviously worked under Howe at Bournemouth. You know, he brought him in there, was excellent for Bournemouth, got the move to Villarreal. They're screaming out for a centre-back to go in beside Dan Bourne. The lad Torres has been ridiculous at Villarreal. Has been for a couple of seasons, you know.
I think he could end up going to yourselves, could he? If you don't get the deal over the line for the Ajax kid that he wants.
I hear of a completely different deal. I've heard of a completely different deal.
Okay.
I'm not going to say I have it on good authority, because I'm not going to be pretending that I have my finger in a pie that I don't. But what I will say is, United apparently are very, very confident of getting the Antonio Rudiger deal done.
Nice. That would certainly lay down a marker, wouldn't it?
Be huge if it happens. It would be absolutely huge. Apparently, the there's a lot of work going into the free agent market because of the volume of players that need to be brought in. That you can't go and spend 30, 40 million if you're bringing in 5 or 6 players. That, you're obviously going to dip in certain places, and in other places you're going to use the market to your advantage. And then obviously what you ship out will balance the book a little bit and stuff like that. Then, what would United typically spend this summer? 150 million?
Yeah, this summer might be slightly different because of obviously Eric coming in and obviously the size of the task, if you like.
Yeah, but I mean, if they were going to spend the 150 again, plus what you get going out the door, you might get another 60, 70 million out the door.
So it could be 200.
Could be close to 200.
Yeah.
But again, for 200, what are you going to get? 5 good players, maybe? 5 won't make a huge difference at United at this stage. Maybe not. It'll be a step in the right
It depends on who he has an eye on as well. I mean, he's obviously very close to European football as well. And I'm sure he's probably looking at some very classy players in around the 30 to 40 mark as well, so he could do some good business. And then, as you said, if Rudiger comes in and you have to throw him, I don't know, 5 mil of a sign on fee or something like that, and then you give him a decent wage, it's good business for United, isn't it?
Absolutely. And I think that's where they'll balance the likes of losing a Pogba, but gaining somebody of a Rudiger. You know what I mean? You'll see a transfer fee that doesn't come in, but you'll also see a fee that you didn't let out either. So it balances the books in that sense a little bit. And I think from a wage point of view, he'll come in on less than what Pogba goes out on now, have a much bigger and make a much bigger impact because he plays week to week and he solidifies that defensive position next to Varane or what, you know what I mean?
Yeah, Varane is going to be an interesting one, isn't it? Because he doesn't have in terms of the injuries and the consistency and stuff like that, you know what I mean? So
I think the injuries has only killed him for us this season because I think his performance-wise has been good. I really do.
I think when he's been in, I think he's done what would you call it, an acceptable job? An acceptable job. I mean, he hasn't been outstanding, but he's been decent.
When he's played, he's been the best defender we've had week to week.
But that's a throwaway compliment, really, isn't it?
I don't know.
Well done, Raphael. You've been the best defender we've had. Thanks, buddy.
I think it's very hard to do it as part of the unit when maybe only one cog in the wheel works or two. I think it's difficult, but listen, it's a step in the right direction to get him fit and get games under his belt, and maybe somebody like a Rudiger. I think it'd be a huge statement of intent.
Yeah,
huge.
Absolutely. Interesting. Anyway, getting back Newcastle, Norwich, we're on the Eddie Howe train, aren't we? Just outside the top 10 on goal difference.
3-1 Newcastle.
3-1 Newcastle. Good show.
Yeah.
Brentford versus Tottenham, rounding out the Saturday.
This is
a game you'll be watching, depending on the early result.
This is a game I will be watching, and I will be like, let's go Brentford. I want Brentford to beat Spurs, even if we get beaten. I just want to see Brentford beat Spurs. I think this is obviously going to be a huge game for various reasons. Obviously, Christian Eriksen playing against Spurs, after the collapse and stuff like that at the Euro. So this is huge. It could be an audition for Christian Eriksen, because it was Antonio Conte who took him to Inter Milan.
Yes.
He's an ex-Spurs boy. He's come in on this short-term deal. Spurs are, again, I've heard words, Spurs are looking for 5 or 6 in the summer.
And pardon the pun as well, hasn't missed a beat.
Hasn't missed a beat at Brentford. He really hasn't. He's been phenomenal since he came back. Hit the ground running. And would go to Spurs free of charge because there's only a 6 months deal there at Brentford, so it'd be huge. I think if Christian Eriksen has a really big performance on Saturday and maybe even helps Brentford turn over Spurs, you could 100% see him back at Spurs next season under Conte.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Well, I assume we're not going to get a Spurs team as flat as we got the other day. That was a shocking performance. So they're going to have to, they'll definitely have to lift themselves from that, won't they? Knowing that this is a big top 4, and it's an opportunity for them with Arsenal and United potentially taking points off each other or drawn. This would be a massive opportunity for them.
Huge. But don't forget, to get yourself up for a game is one thing, but you have opposition, and Brentford aren't going to give anything. They picked up a big win last weekend themselves very late in the day and stuff like that. And Brentford have their own targets they're trying to hit, and they're not going to bend over for anybody at this stage of the season. They've done so well so far,
Yeah.
Again, there's a lot of lads in that Brentford team probably looking at this saying, 5 or 6 big performances between now and the end of the season, we might be at slightly bigger club next year. You know what I mean?
Could end up with the Wonka card. Could end up with the Wonka card if you put in a good performance. Ivan Toney.
Massive talk. Yeah, there's massive talk of Ivan Toney heading maybe back up to Newcastle.
Right.
Newcastle sold him to Northampton initially, and Northampton then sold him to Brentford. So this could be full circle for Ivan Toney, which would be unbelievable, really, for the lad. To go out and Newcastle let him go and stuff, and him go and prove it in League One, and then get the move to the Championship, and then come and do it in the Premier League, and then all of a sudden end up back in Newcastle. Be a great story, wouldn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. Let's go 2-2.
You love it. There's big money on this when we do beat the bookie with all these draws. There's serious bread.
Let's go 2-2. Yeah.
I'm going to go Tottenham just to shade it. Because I think this top 4 race is going to heat up this weekend. So it should be interesting. Tottenham 2-1, I think. Okay. Sunday, Brighton versus Southampton.
Battle of the South Coast, huh?
Yeah.
The lads have been battle of the lads that both bent Arsenal over in recent weeks. This will be a great game, I think. The red and whites versus the blue and whites. This is right or over stuff. 2 of our favourites in the league, Graham Potter and Ralph Hasenhüttl. I'll enjoy this, I have to say, on Sunday. I really will. I know you kind of look at both these teams and say, what have they got to play for? I don't think when you play for Graham Potter or Ralph Hasenhüttl, there's any games that don't mean anything, because I think they're always looking at who's putting in a shift for them, and who can help them get to the next stage and level and stuff like that.
Well, I think this is where, as you said, this is where these teams that are in that kind of middle section are now looking to see who they want to keep, who they want to move on, and who they're looking at. So these games, these are games, as you said, vital for laying down a market in terms of your place either staying there or being moved on. So that's why they're vitally important. And
again, I think there's potentially some reasonable overhauls of these squads in the summer. I do, like, straight off the bat, Danny Welbeck and Shane Long should never play a Premier League game again. Like they need to be just brought out the back like Old Yeller and given the shotgun on the side of the head. Shane Long's miles away from playing Premier League football, miles. And so is Danny Welbeck, And I think if you're a Brighton and if you're a Southampton and you want to get to that next level, you've got to take guys like that out of your squad. They're not going to. I understand, you're going to have a certain level of player for certain things, but like Danny Welbeck starting games at Brighton, he shouldn't be. He's miles off it, absolutely miles off it, And the same for Long. Like, they take off Brozier the other night and they bring on Long, and you're going, what do you think you're going to get out of this guy? Hasn't been there for Shane Long for a couple of years.
Yeah.
I
suppose these managers, as well, as you said earlier, will be looking at these players, as you said, that are out of contract. So it's just a signing on fee and the wages and stuff like that. So they'll be very shrewd in the way they do their business. Plus, I'm sure they'll be looking at the Championship as well. Some really good players there that necessarily may not make the promotion.
Southampton have always done great business, and I always like how Southampton do their business. They've always managed to, when they take someone, they buy somebody in, they always manage to add value to the player before they leave St. Mary's, which is important, because it means you get in more than you spent out in the first place, and that keeps the whole thing ticking along. And I think they should, if they're not both in for Ben Bird and Diaz in the summer, I'd be shocked. They should both be in. He's going to be free from Blackburn. Blackburn have fallen like a stone in recent weeks. So he leaves there.
Would we be surprised if he ends up higher up in the division?
I don't think he'll end up much higher now. I think Southampton, Brentford, Brighton, that's the kind of level of, I don't think you're going to see him at a Leicester or a West Ham, let's say. I think he'll go in there at a Southampton, and
Wolves
wouldn't typically fit the profile of Wolves.
No.
They don't do an awful lot from the Championship. They go much younger, and they go younger and foreign. You think of the Trincao, the Neves, the Silva, all of those guys. Like the only kind of guys that they've taken in over the last few years that were of any age, the boy Marçal and Moutinho. But they knew bringing the guys in, they were solid pros to go into a team with, and bring a blend and stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I don't think he fits the profile of a Wolves or something like that,
What you think about this? Another draw.
Draw. I just think it gets to the end of the season, and when you see teams that maybe haven't got loads to play for, it can be easier to just 1-1 will do us. We'll all go home happy tonight rather than let's break our neck and try and stay up. You know what I mean? Like, you seen what happened last night. Like, Leicester were taking along there 1-0 up. Didn't need to put their foot in the accelerator too much, and at the last minute they just got held up by Everton. You know what I mean? I think if that's midway through the season, Leicester go and get a second goal and finish that game off. But I think last night it was like, no, we're happy enough here. We won't be beaten. It's another game out of the way.
Yeah. Semi-final in Europe on the horizon.
Let's go. Do you know what? Listen, seeing you've got me, let's say 2-1 the Saints.
2-1 the Saints. Don't change it on your betting slip if that's what's on it, though. Don't blame it on me. Don't be messaging me when they go, look what you caused. Burnley versus Wolves. It's a massive game for Burnley. And I don't see them getting a whole lot out of it.
This is huge for Burnley. But again, like you say, I don't see a lot. I have to say, I don't see a lot. I think Wolves will really put them to the sword on Sunday. This could be, here comes the championship. Especially, Everton pick up the draw last night and just stretch the gap a little bit. Listen, I don't expect Everton to get on the weekend either. Yeah.
Anything outside the gap of 3 points is massive at this stage, isn't it? Because you're relying on them to falter twice and you have to get 2 good results. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, I see Wolves written all over this, I have to say. And I think Wolves will have to push so much, or Burnley will have to push so much that they'll allow an awful lot of space for Wolves, and they pick you off really, really quick at the back, and they're not going to be lumping balls into the box for Tarkowski and me, are they? They're going to play everything on the deck. It's going to be quick. It's going to be one touch, and I think we'll, I'm going to say Wolves 3-1.
Yeah, I was thinking
3-2. Let's say 3-2.
3-2. 3-2 would be exciting enough. Yeah, I was thinking 3-1, but 3-2. Chelsea versus West Ham. It's another game you'll have an eye on.
Big game, yeah. I suppose West Ham again will have a slight eye on the Europa, the semi-final next week against Eintracht Frankfurt, won't they? But
100%.
I just think whatever West Ham you put out at the minute, you're going to get something decent out of them. He just has them like a well-oiled machine at the minute, doesn't he, David Moyes? And I'd fully expect to see a good performance from West Ham. And, West Ham like upsetting apple carts, don't they? They really do. Chelsea after the weekend, or after last night, really poor performance. Could West Ham add to the misery?
Absolutely, the only thing I'd say about West Ham is, absolutely they could. And again, it depends who Tuchel puts out. Because we're not sure. Obviously, the players that were left out, was it tactical or were they carrying a knock? Or the talk was potentially. The talk was, I think, that Rudiger was carrying a knock. I think that's what I thought I had heard. Anyway, hard
to believe he plays Lukaku again, isn't it? Could he?
You know what I mean? Who knows? The only thing I'd say about West Ham at the moment, I looked at the Burnley game at I think at the weekend it was 1-1. They looked tired, didn't they? West Ham. Declan Rice looked
game's catching up on them, isn't it?
For a guy who's normally fairly physical and moving about, they looked really, really tired. They grinded that one somewhat, you know what I mean? I know they created
I think Burnley can do that for you at times.
Yeah.
They can make it like that. It's physical, it's dogged, they're pulling your shorts at corners, they're standing your top. It's just messy. Plus you had that little new manager bounce there at Burnley as well, you know.
But you know what it was? I seen West Ham in a couple of decent tackles, Jared Bowen getting upended a couple of times and Declan Rice, and they were tentative enough climbing off the deck. When you're you don't have a pep in your step and you're nearly calling, give me another minute here on the deck with the sponge and stuff like that and all, you know what I mean? They just looked a little bit leggy, and it's been a long season for West Ham. They've done really well.
Absolutely.
They've been competitive each and every week when they've gone out there under Moyes. He's done a fantastic job. And you know something? I'd hate for them to fall at the last hurdle, because I think he deserves something for the shift he's put in this season, and the team does.
Absolutely.
And I just wonder, I wonder, could this be another one where either he might make a few changes, even though, like, I mean, the squad isn't ginormous anyway. It's not like he can ring the changes anyway. But yeah, this might be a step too much for West Ham, and I'd imagine Tuchel will want a reaction out of Chelsea, because I mean they can't come out like they did yesterday against Arsenal, can they? Against West Ham? Well, they can.
They absolutely can.
Yeah,
they absolutely can. I think it's too difficult to turn that on and off. I think when you lose it, you know.
I suppose we seen over the Christmas period when they were struggling. It went for a number of games.
Yeah.
And here, look, I'm a Liverpool fan. I hope it continues until right after the final.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But I don't know. I think Chelsea. You know, funny enough, I was about to say Chelsea at the bridge as well, but they were at the bridge last night as well. So yeah. But you going with the hammers 100%. On this? You sound like you're going with the hammers on this, are you? Jared Bowen, he's our man this season as well, isn't he?
I think I'll go for the draw.
You're going for the draw? Do you know what? I'm going to check out this accumulator later. This is going to be massive if this comes
You'll have to watch the Beat the Bookie to find out, won't you?
We'll be having a real good weekend in Cardiff if this comes true.
Absolutely.
We round out the Sunday down with the Super Sunday. It's the Merseyside derby, Liverpool versus Everton. Again, I sometimes say when you get these derbies and these rivalries, form goes out the window, but I don't think form goes out the window here. It's at Anfield. I think it's going to be a tough day for Everton at the office. My only concern about this is not just getting the 3 points, but just making sure that the players come off the pitch unscathed and that we don't pick up any injuries and stuff like that. Because I think at the moment, for us,
you won't be sending Big Virgil up for any corners. Put it that way.
It'd be hard to stop him. The boy Kanate, he go up, huh? Give El Pickford an elbow go. That's for Virg.
Send him up. Let him plant on him. Not a Pickford fan at all. I have to.
I'm trying to sort of vision that Kanate beside Pickford. The gulf in size would be absolutely massive. Do you know what I'm looking forward to actually? On those set pieces, Kanate versus Yerry Mina. They're two big boys. That'll be interesting.
Mina's not huge, he's just dirty.
But he's a big dude as well. He's not small. Not Kanate big now. Not Kanate big.
Yeah, he's not.
He's a unit like. Yeah.
Fancy me chances.
Yeah.
Not against Kanate
though. No, not a chance. I don't know if you've seen the picture with him and Robinson the other day, and they're both wearing the same bathrobe. And Robinson's is nearly rolling on the ground, and Kanate's is nearly up at his knee. Quality.
Yeah.
The stuff they get.
He's a big guy.
Yeah. What are you thinking
on
this?
The only thing that was round at his
knee. Yeah. Liverpool versus Everton.
3-1.
Yeah. Even with the pressure of City potentially winning anyway, I don't see it being a problem. I think
don't say it being a problem. I have to say no.
We're
really don't. These would be two of the easiest games you play all season. Us and followed by Everton.
Yeah,
you know?
and probably potentially two of the games that City would have looked at saying maybe they might drop points in those two. You know.
Yeah, they were being hopeful, weren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Just like ourselves. Come on, Brighton.
Yeah.
We round out week 33 then with Monday night. I like this one, Palace versus Leeds. This is a nice match to finish out a weekend, isn't it? Well,
yeah, absolutely. I like Selhurst Park on a Monday night under the lights, I have to say. Really do. They were a little bit poor now against Newcastle. Didn't quite hit the form we'd expect from them, you know. Back at Selhurst Park, that'll all change. Leeds been idle this week. I think Leeds are probably looking over their shoulder now going, where are we? We'll be here next year. I see Palace doing this, I have to tell you. See this 2-1 Palace.
2-1 Palace.
Absolutely.
Now, strangely enough, I'm thinking this will be a 2-2 draw. That's what I had down for this one. So
okay.
Yeah, interesting though. Yeah, that's it. Week 33, another preview on the bag done.
Under the belt.
Under the belt. As always, drop your picks down in the comments. Let us know if you want to contact the show. Twitter at @the_upper_tier. You'll also get us on Gmail, the Upper Tier Podcast, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Spotify, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, wherever you pick up your audio shows or video shows, you will find us there. Of course, the Upper Tier Podcast on YouTube. Subscribe button, bell notification, like and share everything. Help us grow the community. Till next time, my friend. A pleasure.
Thanks, pal.